Welcome back to Berlin for Game 2 in this playoff series where Fnatic have a 1-0 lead over the boys on your screen right now, H2K. And what a fantastic performance in game number 1. Ari, of course, was not used, but she might show an appearance later in the day. H2K, they now will be on the blue side. Fnatic have side selection in games 2 and 4, if we get that far. And how does this change up picks and bans? Because H2K was so surprised, they collapsed under the weight of their surprisedness.
Yeah, and now we get to see what is potentially a more standard draft out of Fnatic. I use that term loosely because the cat is out the bag on the Twitch. So now we get to see, when they have their choice of side, what do Fnatic prioritize now? Is it going to be the cannon that we've seen? Will it be banned?
I think, you know, game 1 on blue side, if you think that is what Fnatic can bring when it comes to counters and cheese and whatever,
I didn't say
then you're in for something crazy now, because Fnatic red side is where they can last pick things like top lane, mid lane. Caps is a man who plays a lot of champions. Yeah, Kale is one of them. So I think Fnatic red side is going to be stronger than Fnatic blue side with this like very unique pick and ban phase they have.
Well, with Cannon already gone, you have to wonder, will Fnatic end up getting triple AD carry banned in later games here? Lee Sin's off the board for Broxah. Will it be the Twitch being taken away by H2K?
I think there's a high chance H2K will ban Twitch in the next phase. I don't think Reckless is just randomly going to early pick it after one game. But obviously H2K might not want to take the gamble. Shen is still the thing. If Shen is not banned here, we're probably expecting a first pick Shen, but it is removed.
There is the Shen, but you say Reckless might not pick it. He was first picking Cannon.
Very
like,
true.
Just
Very true.
Blind, everything. But now we get to the point. Graves, Rengar, Elise, that key pick for Fnatic.
That's the thing. If you want to target Broxah, you need to target Lee Sin and Elise. But they give that one over to Broxah. They say LeBlanc was the problem, which... I mean, to be fair, in the last game, you could have almost named any champion, and that champion was the problem. So right now, you just got to decide which one you want to go with.
Sheepy was talking a little bit about why LeBlanc was the problem as well. Pushing in, roaming, creating a lot of space. So now we get to see what Febiven can do on that in this game around.
Shocker. He picked Elise.
Well, no one's surprised by that, Deficio.
I was just surprised.
What happens next? Because how surprising is a Twitch blind pick on red side? If that is one of the key ingredients for this Fnatic team to win today.
For Jessis, they could look for that Zyra that got taken away from them in the last game. I don't think they're rushing for it. And that was not the champion I think most people were expecting on this rotation.
So there are obviously a few like counter picks being used against LeBlanc. Ryze is one of them. Kassadin is another one that some of the European mid laners are using. So the reason they lock it in now is because Fnatic know they want to pick this for their comp, and they want to have flexibility for the next pick in this phase, the one that Caps is sitting on. So maybe they have to adapt and pick a support and ban out other supports. Maybe they have to pick the AD carry and ban out other AD carries. They didn't want to get stuck in a situation where they were forced to just pick Ryze no matter what.
Makes a lot of sense, right? Side laners, you want to get that pressure out on the side lanes. Well, I mean, it is an early pickup compared to the Ryze that we've seen in Europe, but you're talking about how the matchup is good. I want to see how this now unfolds as the rest of the H2K draft comes through.
I actually just want to see Graves here. I think in the last game, a problem for H2K were they couldn't react with the Rengar in the early game. When it came to these ganks from Elise, I think Graves has a bit more value there in pre-level 6 compared to a Rengar. Could match a bit more in a potential counter gank, but it is not picked now. They do not value the jungle at the moment.
Not at the moment, but it also then puts pressure on Fnatic. Where do they use their phase 2 bans? What do they take off the table? I'm excited to see what Febiven does on this LeBlanc, because of course the storyline of Febiven, formerly of Fnatic now, it was Caps that kind of unlocked him or kept him at bay on his Syndra in that previous game. And this time round, last second lock-in, Jez is going for the Thresh, and that's got eyebrows raised.
Yeah, because it's into Ezreal. Ezreal is notoriously one of the most difficult AD carries to punish in a laning phase or on the map at all. And that was picked by Nuclear already into Elise, so that bot lane snowball would be way less successful. And now Fnatic have perhaps played into it, taking a Thresh. This is perhaps in response to like a Karma pick, where you can try and get the hook on the support instead.
Well, I do like this banning from H2K with the Kalista, removing the potential Kalista Thresh lane. But, like, again, this pick is... It's risky in so many ways, but we could say the same about the last draft, because Thresh once you get out of this laning phase and into this more like teamfight phase of the game, he's so hard to execute because then you stun yourself when you hook. You can have all these like mobile targets like the Blanc and Israel you can't really catch, then you end up hooking the Gragas and he's not the guy you want to catch. So it can be really difficult unless you snowball the laning phase. And that's again what they're aiming for.
There's a lot of areas it can go wrong, but Ignar showed us yesterday how right it can be for Misfits. That Thresh was on top form, and as we get the last ban away, there goes the Twitch. As H2K are going to take away two of these heavy trading AD carries. So I wouldn't be surprised to see H2K go Karma a little late.
Just give him Illusion here then for Reckless, and you have a really strong 2v2 lane still. He can also last pick it. That's what he's deciding to do, because they know Gragas is going to be the top lane matchup. That's why they can take Camille here. But again, this is the kind of draft for Fnatic where it relies once again on executing laning phase. It worked the last game because they got early ganks top, they got early ganks mid lane. I want to see if it works in game 2. I think this composition here has a lot of pick potential, but can be difficult to use.
There is a possibility, however, of Gragas, going into the jungle, but with Kha'Zix locked in, that doesn't end up being the case now. We've got the Kha'Zix into the Elise. Che, he's played a lot of Tahm Kench, a lot of Karma. These are the kind of picks that have been at the top of his most played list.
Of course, the Tahm Kench give a little bit of additional initiation tools for H2K.
I think you need to turn it around there, Trevor, and say defensive tools. You are against a pure pick composition. The Tahm Kench ulti, sorry, Devour, not ulti, but his Devour. Could have been his ulti, whatever, it's overpowered. To simply just say, okay, you're cocooning one target, you're hooking one target. Nope, I'm going to deny that one. I'm still expecting Lucian right here. But with Fnatic, it can be any AD carry in the world. But I would like to see that strong 2v2 bot lane where Reckless is on that playmaking AD carry.
Yeah, I agree with you. That Lucian, the Thresh, is so much potency in the... I mean, are you kidding me?
I mean, why not? Why not?
It's Reckless, right?
Okay,
This guy...
so Vayne is locked in. Twitch, for the first time this split. Vayne now locked in for Reckless as well. Deficio, you slammed your water bottle down. What do you think of Vayne Thresh into Ezreal Tahm Kench?
I think Vayne is complete garbage overall as a champion. I'm just going to say that. However, the Twitch was risky. Come down here, man, if you disagree. But, so, Twitch in the last game, that was risky. They played around it, and Reckless was fantastic on it. He's an old Vayne player. So obviously he might be able to execute this one, but I think Vayne's laning phase is just so weak. But I guess if you're bringing support, jungler, top laner, mid laner, then it doesn't matter how weak your laning phase is, and the Vayne can suddenly work.
I'm glad you managed to get that one in. We were almost out of champion select before saying Reckless is an old Vayne player. Thought we had to rush to get that one in at some point. Haven't heard that one in a long time.
We haven't, because Vayne has not been particularly meta in a very long time.
And we can talk about the recent endgame.
Yeah.
And Fnatic as a team have basically said, screw the meta, many times in the last few weeks, because it's comfort above all. For Reckless, we know Vayne is comfort, but for Jesus, how comfortable is he on Thresh? How proficient is he with Death Sentence early and Lanterns later?
He did step up in the last game, can definitely do well in this one, but I mean, that's the thing. The meta kind of part of our brains is saying, no, Vayne, but then the other part is like, we kind of want him to succeed on it because it's such an exciting pick.
My mind is saying no, but my body is saying, is this Vayne spotting or is this Fnatic spotting? 1-0 up. They stunned everybody with their performance in game number 1. Can they do it again? Can they do it again? That is the question. Deficio's not a huge fan of Vayne during the laning phase at this level of play.
No, I'm not.
But we weren't sure how Twitch was going to work, and Fnatic said fantastically.
I think there was more insight on how Twitch was going to work, like, as you go into game. For this one, if Vayne snowballs specifically from winning the laning phase hard, something has gone wrong for H2K. If that happens, if bot lane, they kill Ezreal or the Tahm Kench, even with Broxah coming down, these should be safe champions.
Right, but here's the good thing now for Reckless and Vayne is he's not against the most aggressive bot lane. Not in terms of players, not in terms of picks either. He already saw the Tahm Kench. This is why they delayed that AD carry pick for last. So he knows, okay, early few levels can be a little bit annoying against an Ezreal, but once you get, you know, level 5, level 6, you go back and get some sustain because you're building towards the Blade of the Ruined King, you can definitely sit and farm in this lane as a Vayne. And the Tahm Kench is obviously not a big lane bully. So I think a lot of, you know, picks had to kind of go correct in order for Fnatic to lock in this Vayne. But I think they're actually looking at that bot lane and saying, you know what, if there's ever a time to do it, it's right now.
And it is the first sort of major region Vayne that we've seen all year long. All year long. It's appeared in challenging careers, in Korea rather, Latin American North as well, in the LLN. That's it, nowhere else.
It's just because you can't play Vayne against these mage supports. She can just get completely bullied in lane then. But against the Tahm Kench, Reckless might be able to make it work, but it's still difficult early. And also, again, let's remember, the Twitch also worked because of Broxah, because of Caps, because Nuclear and Che over-pushed the lane. It wasn't just because of the 2v2.
But as always with a Thresh laning phase, a couple of hooks on the support, the trades, the damage that will come down from Silver Bolts as we go later against a tank. Like, it is possible to have that, but again, Che needs to get hooked multiple times in lane then, and that generally won't happen.
I mean, and that's the thing, you know, if we can get Vayne out of laning phase, you can get her into like a late game fight or something against these tanks. Yes, she can be super useful, but if everyone could do that, she would be picked all the time. Yeah. And obviously you can't. There's another problem later on in the game we can mention. Her issue of kind of finding a place on the map. She can't really hold mid. She has no wave clear. Her split push is very slow as well, because again, she doesn't offer insane like push. So it is a bit difficult to play Vayne at almost all stages of the game, but it's a playmaker. And Reckless is the playmaker on this team.
He is the playmaker. He's historically been the primary carry during Fnatic's wins over the last few weeks. And of course, there's a lot of playmaking potential on the Fnatic squad, with Camille in the top lane for Soaz, with Elise being played by Brox in the jungle. Let's turn our attention to H2K though, because you've got Jankos on a much stronger early game champion of the Kazakhs. You've got double teleports from Odo and Febiven. And there's also some tools and some power here that Che can use on his Tahm Kench, which he's done very well during the course of the splits.
And I think H2K will come out of this draft saying, okay, they've thrown us another curveball, but all we have to do is play this how the composition should run. You rely on Febiven in the early game, a lot of damage, only to set out the fights, and Jankos can just facilitate lanes, but he's not for bot side already.
It's happening.
Surely you don't dive. Surely you don't dive Ezreal and Tahm. Surely you don't. But the cocoon, that finds Che. Che's pinned against the wall with the condemn. Exhaust buys time, but not enough for the kill. Repel up, drop down, and they just get Che's summoner.
And that's a flash down now, so next time Tahm Kench gets hooked or anything, now doesn't have the ability to get himself out of it. Fnatic again. It's obvious that's where they're going, but H2K, they didn't have too many more options on that one.
I'm actually just smiling because, again, everything in this meta goes against Vayne, but this specific matchup is fine for him, and the fact that play around the bot lane can and will make this Vayne work, and that's actually super exciting to see.
It really is, and, you know, we came out to get ready for the show about 20 minutes before 5 o'clock. About 20 minutes before that, Fnatic were on stage getting ready.
Yeah.
Jankos is under a little bit of pressure. I'll carry on with that story in a second. Overload into Rune Prison. Connects with another overload. Soaz is body blocked. First the blast cone!
Oh my god!
First blood to Caps!
Oh, Fnatic, it's seemingly in the mind of H2K right now. That blast cone back over. Jankos thought he was just about out, but Caps left the lane first. Febiven looks like he's just TP'd back to lane earlier, but couldn't match the timing on Caps, and beautiful blast cone usage.
And such an unusual play from Jankos. Going in for the enemy Raptors when his mid laner has zero control. Yeah. Look how far back Febiven is.
Just TP'd in. That's where that cooldown's gone, and now Jankos was in trouble.
Exactly, because Caps will, of course, just walk in behind him and do exactly this. Jumps over, and it's Caps who just auto-attacks the blast cone. What a nice reaction from him, just instantly flashing with them.
This is the performance that Fnatic have wanted out of Caps. All split long, and it has only appeared a few times, a few blossoms. Game 1 on that LeBlanc, Game 2 now, reading the blast cone play so well.
And this is the performance Fnatic wanted out of Jankos, where he's invading a Raptor camp early with no mid lane pressure, and he dies. He is obviously a jungler focused on the early game, very, very often, but that is the kind of mistake we don't see too often from him.
Well, unfortunately for Jankos, though, the back half of the split, we've seen that kind of mistake a few more times than we've come to expect from a jungler of his caliber.
And it was better for a moment there for H2K going in with Febiven himself, put the ward down, but they were actually spotted on the ward going into the jungle. So now Caps dodges out Febiven.
All right, a lot of damage back and forth. Overload on the end, just sidestepped away. So the trade relatively even, I feel. But as it stands, Caps playing very aggressively.
Yeah, and if we go back down to this bottom lane now, because again, there's been so much talk about Vayne. Well, she's gotten past the early levels. She's building towards a Blade of the Rune King. She obviously had that first gank from Broxah that cost a flash from Che, a heal from Nuclear, nullifying any sort of aggressive moves from the H2K bot lane. So Reckless, winning on farm at the moment, will just continue farming. He doesn't even need to fight before level 6. He can just keep trading. Just keep farming. And this is so good now for Fnatic. First blood, Vayne not under pressure at all. Their composition, it's risky, but the reward is very high.
Absolutely, and the reward for Fnatic on some of these more unorthodox picks over the last couple of weeks seems to be paying off dividends. I mean, even other teams perhaps started picking up some of what we can anticipate will be a scrim meta that Fnatic were putting forward. I mean, we saw yesterday Splice and Misfits talking about how Kennen was so successful in scrims but didn't find its footing on the stage in the playoffs, 0-4, but Fnatic are making these different picks work with just a slightly different play style than a lot of other teams are making.
Kennen banned both games, Twitch banned this game.
Now next game.
Maybe Vayne is going to be the next potential here.
Quinn game 3.
I mean, we're also thinking very far ahead. Jankos going to find some pressure, trying to defend his Gromp. Broxah just walks in and takes it away.
Yeah, Jankos surely didn't have Smite ready just in time. If we go back and check that out, because he just had to jump out instantly.
Well, unfortunately for Jankos, game is getting a little bit away from him. Yes, he's got a small CS advantage, does have access to level 6. We've not seen him gank yet, so I need to see where Jankos looks for an opportunity, if at all.
Yeah, I just want to add in this little one thing just to make it even worse for Jankos and really, really annoy him. Or he's super annoyed now. He had like 2 seconds on his Smite. Yeah. And then this annoying Elise walks in, and you have to jump out. She takes your Gromp, gets a bit of an experience advantage again, and you just get further behind.
Yeah, and he didn't even want a chance sticking around for it to come up because he's no Flash. So if he takes that fight with Gromp, with Elise, he ends up dying again. But H2K, I don't think they were anticipating this Fnatic showing up, and it's taking them a little bit of time.
Nobody was, Stress.
That's fair. I'm just saying it's taking them a little bit of time to adapt to it, but they're going to run out of that.
And the reason I jump on that is Febiven jumps on Caps, support from Jankos, puts the hammer down, True Shot Barrage helps out for a support. Now Jankos is caught by the death sentence, but the Devour buys some time. Jankos hops back out and Broxah forced to flash. Soaz under the tower, he puts down the ultimatum, but Odo wins the 1v1. It's gone crazy everywhere.
Yeah, that just went completely wrong for Fnatic. Like everything. Mid lane, they were actually about to make a play here, but then Caps, with the rest of H2K around him, ended up dying. Nothing he could really do. And then top lane, well played by Odamne, knocking Soaz under that tower here. Have to get a replay of the start of that fight as well. But this is huge. The fact that now Odamne, unlike the first game, fell really far behind against a split pusher, is now actually staying, even slightly winning his lane.
So here's a mid lane replay that we saw. As you said, Fnatic maybe looking to set up a play with Jez's coming
all
across.
on the way.
Caps takes the trade, exhausts Jankos, and Che comes in just in time to make sure there's no even kill. Flashes into the Devour, that's obviously one of those massive strengths. So Odoamne blasts Soaz in, ultimatum used to try and dodge a tower shot, but doesn't dodge the follow-up that comes from Odoamne. Keeps him in place, ends up falling. I think Soaz maybe thought he could take that trade, but under the tower, very difficult.
Yeah, as soon as he got knocked back there, that was kind of the problem for Soaz. Once he got knocked on the tower, he's just trying to get out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Odamne can take him down. Well played on Agragas, and it's important to highlight that Agragas has now been blind picked 2 games in a row. And it is because he's such a safe blind pick up there. He can lane and beat the tanks. He can lane against some of the carries. Like, he's just overall a very good laner with impact later on. And that's why Odamne is able to take down Soaz, even out the CS, or stay even in CS, which is important for H2K because they're not gonna, be winning a whole lot on the bottom side.
No, not this time round. That early gank from Broxah helping Fnatic. We've got an even game at 11 minutes. At this stage in the previous game, Fnatic had a couple towers to their name. They had more kills as well. So at the very least, H2K, they've not given up as much during the early stages, despite the fact that Broxah and Caps got very good early starts. You know, that gank down bottom and first blood. And as we're talking about Broxah, you can actually see some of his stats from game one, hugely impactful versus his league-wide average. And gonna find a cocoon, but nothing more this game.
All right, not able to get a whole lot. But yeah, good last game from him. We keep talking about Lee and Elise, Lee and Elise. Like, those are the two big picks for him. And obviously H2K valued the first pick LeBlanc in this one. Elise over to Broxah once again. Needs to have a bit more impact if he wants to be successful, like in the last game. But for now, he still has plenty of time to do that.
That first pick, LeBlanc is doing an okay job early on. Febiven up in CS as he traditionally is. I believe he's ranked 2 at every point in the game of mid laners for CS, and the only person above him is Perks, generally. But H2K, as you said, first pick LeBlanc. It's supplementing a lot of this early game that H2K are going to rely on. The fact that Nuclear needs more time in this bottom lane. The fact that Odoamne is playing more of a tank and an engage tool means that Febiven has a lot on his shoulders going up against his former team right now.
The thing is, though, if you look at both of these team comps, I think they're both relatively happy playing into the mid game. I mean, Camille's going to become very scary in the mid game. Broxah and Elise still has that pick potential. Rise and Vayne, obviously, very happy to get 1 or 2 items under their belt before the action really kicks off. But I want to see how this Jez's Thresh versus Chaytam Kench interaction works out, because both of them could make or break the entirety of mid-game. Good death sentence. Where's the support? Box goes down,
Instantly.
but look, instant reply on the Abyssal Voyage, and they just end up trading ultimates for ultimates. As now Soaz gets caught out. There's support from H2K. He takes a lashing from the tongue, and Jankos picks up an easy kill.
Good interrupt from Odoamne, stops Soaz from getting out, and H2K easy punish there. Che immediately pulls out the Abyssal Voyage, makes sure they can gather Jankos back into the rest of the team, and H2K a lot more composed than game one.
It's a huge issue for Fnatic that his top lane is losing this hard now, because Fnatic's goal is to play around the bottom side. It's to get this bot lane tower down, so Reckless has a very long lane where he can chase like an Ezreal and get a kill. That's why they're going for this play now. They're trying to find Nuclear.
All right, Realm Warp, that's going to cut Nuclear off. The long-range Cocoon, devoured though from Che. That's going to save Nuclear's life. Soaz will cancel his teleport, as does Odoamne, and potentially Febiven as well. They're both on cooldown, but Fnatic, they're looking for Tower First Blood. They're going to find it, and H2K will equalize moments after.
Sucks for Odoamne up in the top lane. I think Jankos actually stepped away from this tower a little bit earlier. Thought he was going to get it for sure as the first tower, but Fnatic with that play bottom lane. Yes, they didn't get the kill, but they got exactly what they wanted. Towers, open up the map so this Blade of the Ruined King Vayne can start playing in these side lanes.
And now you get a Mountain Drake alongside it, just supplements some of that damage.
And I think if you look at the Summoner spell cost as well, 2 teleports from H2K, 1, 2, 3 flashes as well. Fnatic have also bought themselves some time, right? In the next few minutes, not having to worry about double TPs with both Soaz unavailable.
Yeah, no, of course, the damage we're talking about is when you look towards a Baron with a Vayne. Blade of the Ruined King, everything on top of it. Now you got a Mountain Drake. Second Drake is going to be Mountain as well. If Fnatic can pick that up, it's a very fast Baron clear as well.
But now that we get into the mid game, I think it's important again to highlight why Vayne can be hard to execute as a champion, not just for yourself, but actually for your team. Is again, she needs to sit in a side lane. This actually means Caps is going to be the wave clear in the mid lane. And while Rise can definitely kill the wave very quickly, if H2K ever get the tempo advantage and get to rotate to this mid lane, 3 or 4 guys, Rise needs to step away from the tower and allow them to actually take it down. He can't then sit in like long range clear these waves like a Victor could. And that is some of the problems.
Well, some problems for Caps and Febiven, although Caps comes out ahead using those rune charges over and over. But look at the support. H2K pulling numbers advantage. If Odo decides to come down as well, there could be some of those flank engager options underneath the tower. Fnatic, they're not sticking around just yet.
And they know the Reckless is in the bottom lane, as you were talking about, only now leaving, so there isn't the same threat as the Twitch from before. Caps, that's a warded area. He doesn't know it yet, though.
Jankos jumps over. The Lantern is available. Caps decides not to take the ride. Che is waddling to safety with Jankos inside his belly. And Che, so far on Tahm Kench, has saved a number of H2K members' lives.
Been a good pick for him for sure, but we're kind of just following where the Vayne is going, what Reckless can do. As we highlighted earlier, The way Vayne pushes the wave is 1 minion at a time. It's 1 minion, you don't have any AoE damage. So it takes a bit of time for her to really get a lane going. And that is why other teams have chances to kind of move around the map and try and force maybe a 4v4 or potential like push on a tower while Vayne is busy pushing out that lane. Problem though for Nuclear is, if you guys look at the minimap, he has to respect Reckless. He runs away as soon as Fnatic moves towards the bottom side, and that allows Reckless to get a free lane.
It's amazing to see the priority shift from defensive to aggressive stances. You know, moving forward in a lane, then moving back in a lane, respecting vision. And now we see which team's communication and understanding will show out. Because if Fnatic try to stick around and defend a tower, then all of a sudden Agragas, Kha'Zix, Tom Kinch could flank and ruin your day. Similarly, if anyone's trying to push towards this Camille or this Vayne, Fnatic could have opportunities with the Thresh, with the Rise, with the Release to find picks. And now we judge which team can make those scenarios happen.
And it's not only that, I mean, H2K, they know that Nuclear, if he is there against Reckless, despite Ezreal being normally a very safe AD carry, Vayne is one that if you get that first shot off after the tumble, you can actually stick on a target like Ezreal, unless he's going something towards that Iceborne Gauntlet, which is not what we've been seeing Ezreal's go for. You go Trinity Force for more damage, so you know, if the couple of shots lands, might be 3 shots and Nuclear's dead.
Now, Fnatic is a team that loves to lane swap. So whenever they do go back to base, you got to call. Bot lane could be missing. Odoamne should have gotten the message.
Oh, that was so good. Soaz sidesteps the big barrel. Odo gets the message now, and the message is, get wrecked.
Yeah, probably he's mad backstage right now. Because this is one of the things you look for. Anyway, let's see the play here.
All right, Realm Warp comes out. Caps with the overload. Not going to find the kill. Broxah should be able to repel up. Looking for a target. Going to drop down defensively. Fnatic look for the tower instead.
And that's the thing. It's a threatening repel up from Broxah there. He has the option to go down, but they know it's an overchase. They want to try and get 2 towers. Chase alone here.
Why did you go in without support? Chase going to get dropped overload after overload. Defensive flash, and Broxah's able to survive. So
They're
does Jay.
getting
The exhaust saved his life. Reckless isn't done yet. He's taken the top tower and the inner tower, and Fnatic now 3 towers to 2.
Such a successful lane swap because it was Reckless who pushed out first. He then goes to the top lane with Jessis. And as I said before here, probably backstage, he's angry. I was talking to him before the game, so he's like, Fnatic lane swap. My players, they gotta be ready for it. When that dual lane goes back to base, communication has to go from bot lane to top lane to mid lane saying, watch out, they can come to your lane. Odoamne stayed out in his lane. Then Camille ulti, obviously he can't move, he's not going anywhere. He gets killed. That's 1 tower, that's 2 towers. Based on that lane swap that H2K knew Fnatic loved to make, and they still died to it.
That different style from Fnatic that comes out that teams aren't quite used to playing against. And
it's once you sit on stage, you can talk about it and talk about it, talk about it. On stage, that communication can break down.
Oh, look at that. Soaz takes a lot of damage from Feathervit. Chase coming in from behind. Soaz is going to do what he can before being dropped. H2K will communicate effectively enough as we get to 20 minutes to get their 4th kill of the game.
And this is where there wasn't really a response for Fnatic on this, so it's good timing by H2K, knowing they can get in behind Soaz. The response will be Rift Herald, which goes over to Reckless, as we've seen for the last few weeks for Fnatic. He's been picking that up, which is a nice little bonus. They get it just in time before the Baron spawns, but overall H2K at least will be happy to relieve some of that pressure that Camille was creating.
Yeah, definitely good always to get that on Vayne when you are focusing on that side lane. And now they're actually expecting H2K to try and make a play mid, because this top lane is pushing against H2K. Against Fnatic. Is pushing towards Fnatic right now.
Look at the mini-map. H2K are grouping.
How often do you see Ezreal at 20 minutes check Baron Pit with True Shot Barrage because Fnatic could have been going for it? Very tense as H2K are trying to lock down Fnatic members, seeing where they are on the map, because Jankos is still in that Dragon Pit.
I just love this understanding here from Fnatic when you look at minion waves. With that big top lane wave pushing towards Fnatic, they knew, okay, H2K is not going to be top lane, because they can't overextend, they can't move past the river. They have to go mid. And that's why Jessis and Reckless and Broxah were just sitting and waiting in that brush here, saying, we're ready, you're going to push this tower, and then we're going to just move in behind you and kill you.
Well, luckily H2K didn't make that mistake, and instead, they managed to pick up an uncontested dragon. If you look at the minimap, H2K have a lot of vision on that right-hand quadrant. 2 pink wards in the river, control wards rather, as well as a couple invisibles, which Soaz is now walking directly over. So information for H2K.
And now what we're going to see now here in the mid game as well, or towards the early start of the late game, is Reckless, while he looks to be alone, will always have support. Jessis and Broxah will always be around him, because when you play 1-3-1, or what looks like a 1-3-1, but with a lane that doesn't have like teleport, who needs a bit of assistance like a Vayne, it becomes this like 3-1-1, where your side lane with the Vayne is where you protect. That's where you put a vision, that's where you play support and jungle. So if someone ever tries to duel this Vayne, you just get collapsed on by multiple members instantly, and you die. So it allows Reckless to always push out first, because no one can touch him.
Fnatic can just play more proactively. They can make those moves, look for those picks. If you look at the item advantage, 2 item spikes for most of Fnatic. Phantom Dancer, Blade of the Rune King. A second ago, Nuclear picked up his Triforce. 22 minutes in, you've had Triforce for Soaz for a little while. He needs to also go back and shop, I think. So Fnatic sitting very comfortably. 2,000 gold up. They won game 1. At what point do you start to believe they can extend this lead even further? I mean,
I believed after game 1, 5 minutes.
Yeah, there we go.
I want to touch on that Phantom Dancer because a lot of people still in solo queue will see Vayne picking up Static Shift. This is about dueling, but it's 2v1. That's not fair.
It just gets condemned into the wall and flashes away. But you can't flash away from an auto attack.
So now we need some cross map here from H2K, because this play here from Reckless was set up due to him pushing out top first, recalling, and then sneaking bot lane. February will try and trade for a tower, but it's a 4v5 situation on the map. What else can Fnatic do?
Fnatic have regrouped around mid lane. They know the wave did push out, but they can't punish here. It's Reckless on the bottom lane that's looking for something, but Ryze going top, I don't think they're catching this LeBlanc.
But they're stopping the tower from dying.
That's true.
And well played here by February as well, respecting that Ryze ulti, not overstaying.
As did Reckless on the bottom side. Backs away.
Respect to everyone.
Tahm Kench was there. The Abyssal Voyage, we didn't see it on screen, but it has been used. So a very tentative game.
Yeah, tentative game, but Fnatic are the ones that when they put their pedal to the metal, accelerate, they're the ones that have taken more towers.
That's how it works, yes.
Got themselves an extra kill. They've got themselves a Mountain Drake, and with a Camille, a Ryze, and a Vayne, and an Elise with Leandries, Baron will get melted very, very quickly.
Oh, yes.
H2K cannot afford to give Fnatic, hell, even 30 seconds alone with the big purple worm.
And that's why whenever Baron is the objective, it's Reckless, Jessis, Broxah on top side, pushing out. Then they get control of the river, they ward it up, and H2K are kind of like, are they on it? Check, True Shot Barrage, you know, double blue, trinket something, just check, because you will have almost no vision if Fnatic plays it out right.
And there's so many ways of them getting in the pit. To be Captain Obvious, you've got the Lantern to come in, any blast cones that are there, Ryze ultimate to come in. Yeah, he's going for it.
Jankos is at least going to use that Void Assault to escape. Not enough vision for the Condemn. A few golf claps at Reckless.
I think I heard one guy say boo.
Tumbling forward, and that means H2K pick up a very easy tower.
So as was on the bot lane, looking to try and push down, of course, can't get all the way to the tower now that H2K have taken it so quickly. So that is a good little response out of H2K. Push that down, reduce some of the play area for Fnatic already.
All right, leap over the wall for Jankos. The Cocoon, I think, buys some time. There goes the Lantern out, and Caps flashes forward, sidesteps backwards. Oh, those blue suede shoes are made for dancing.
Baby Bjergs?
I'm not saying, I'm not getting involved. His name is Caps.
Baby.
His name is Caps.
Come on, that was a Faker move. I love that. That was really well played.
Wouldn't have been caught. That's what I've learned.
He definitely would have been caught, but we would have done the same to get out. Anyway, of course, we're not going to say it. He's not up there just yet, but well played overall. First time, by the way, Reckless didn't get to shove out his lane. And what happened? H2K got to group mid and took a tower. So we got to see again how both comps really want to play this. H2K, please, can we just group? Fnatic is like, please, can we just split push?
How does H2K force Fnatic to group? I mean, that time round, there was a tower to focus for H2K, but it gets riskier, right? They've got to now get to inner towers.
The same way we've seen H2K forcing a lot of fights throughout the split when Chase on Tahm Kench or Oluwane is on one of these picks like Gragas. It's all about just committing right to one person that's out of position like Caps, and that time he had his fancy footwork. Maybe next time it doesn't quite line up for them. They get the pick, they move into the jungle, get the vision down, and they don't need to win a full 5v5 to threaten objectives like towers. 1 or 2 members down from Fnatic is enough, but H2K just continue pushing.
Look at the damage. Nuclear gets a couple Mystic shots off, and Forces Caps away.
And a lot of now, based on kind of getting H2K in position, is focused around having these like different windows. Whenever Fnatic pushes out a lane with Reckless, they will then recall with Reckless and send him somewhere else. And that actually gives now a window for H2K to push top lane, which is what they're doing now with Febiven, if we can just show him up in the top side. And now that they have this opening, they can actually make a play. Because now they have the control in the side lanes. If they wait another minute, Reckless will push it back, and then Fnatic has the chance to make a play. So right now it's on H2K, they have pushed the lane, top tower is open. This is how they can force something with their comp as a team, and not rely on the split push that Fnatic would rely on.
So good from H2K, playing that map effectively. If the observers can toggle the vision, you can actually see all of the wards that H2K are working with in this top quadrant. There's a couple of wards behind them towards the north end. But that's what H2K are playing with. Still a lot of dark areas, only Reckless revealed for now.
It's been a big problem for Fnatic that they haven't been able to really apply pressure with the Vayne. Reckless for the last few minutes has just kind of been stuck around the middle lane. And that's why Febiven is going top and pushing their lane out. That's why H2K are actually getting some towers now. And that's why H2K have vision around Baron and not Fnatic.
At the same time, though, there's this just feeling in the back of my head that is telling me that that doesn't necessarily mean Fnatic are out of a chance on this, right? Just because split push is the absolute strategy. This Vayne is getting farm, it is getting stronger, so the fact that Vayne isn't like 2 and 10 makes Reckless still very formidable in small number skirmishes if he can stay alive.
It's not about Fnatic not being able to win. It's about Fnatic giving H2K a higher chance of actually winning the game. Because H2K, if this Vayne is going off in a side lane, have almost no win condition. But H2K with actual map control and able to play 5-on-5 have that win condition open for them. So that's basically what's played around. Like, it just gets harder and harder for Fnatic to win without ever being impossible. Like, they can always win a late game fight with Ryze and Vayne, always.
And maybe if Fnatic surprise H2K to start the fight, it makes it easier. Because surprising H2K is significantly more effective than catching them on an even keel. Look, it's approaching 30 minutes. This gold lead means next to nothing at this stage. Looking at the 2 or 3 items that are completed across the board, I'm not seeing anything super surprising here. Void Staff, Merc Treads, and the Gunblade for Febiven. A little bit of a mixed hodgepodge there with the Negatron Cloak and Fiendish Codex, but as Reckless is pushing the wave in the top lane, pushing it out, and let's see how H2K responds.
So he's pushing it up so they can come back down to Baron, but he's got 2,000 gold right now on his person. He needs to go back and shop. It looks like he's opting towards the Frozen Mallet again. Not exactly the most orthodox pick. There it is, has just been completed because they shoved topside out.
I like that against some of the burst that's coming down from Febiven, right? If you can survive the burst and then use your Phantom Dancer and Blade of the Rune King to survive through.
It's such a pure 1v1 build. Like, there are ways you can play like more teamfight Vayne with like a bit more AoE in your build, but he's gone pure single target.
A lot of damage, no stun onto Jankos, but the death sentence connects. Where's the box? Not thrown down yet as Jankos is able to escape. Now Jesus is the target. He's sniped down with the Mystic shots. The ultimatum locks Nuclear in place. He's the target, but Broxah can't follow forward. Soaz is already out of the fight. Rune Prison onto Febiven. That's a double kill for Reckless. He continues to chase. Huge heal from the Summoner spell, and Caps gets the third.
The name of the game in that team fight is just be a frontline for Reckless. Put some damage down. Caps brings him in range again, and Jankos got hooked back in when Che had been pushed out to the pit. That's an exceptionally fast Baron. Fnatic in full control again.
The Fnatic chants erupt on the ground here in Germany as Fnatic win this team fight that allows him to take Baron.
Yeah, it's such a good start for Fnatic because it's just a split up fight here. They got a lot of damage on Jankos, so he's basically out of the fight. Like, he's not gonna rejoin. And that's why Fnatic are actually fighting 4v5 in most of it. Jankos, in the end, he got like a W off, like right there. That was his value. The rest of Fnatic, suddenly there's no kill pressure on Reckless. And he's able to just pick the targets he wants. Caps is full HP as well. That's when you know a fight was really heavily in your favor, when your carries are almost full HP by the end of the fight.
Significant amount of damage done from Nuclear, though. At the same time, we've got to also keep our eyes on H2K's AD carry. But one of those points there where Che normally would be devouring Jankos, they were too far apart, no way of saving him. Don't think it would have turned the team fight in their favor particularly either, but Fnatic showing that this Vayne can still work for them despite not 100%. Being split push focused.
I mean, that's the thing. H2K came back into this game because they could stop the Vayne from split pushing. They could get some map control. They've done so many things correct for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But they won fight in favor of Fnatic, and it's all gone. Because that's Baron, that's a massive goal lead now. Reckless on 3 items and QSS. Like, he's building in his like very tanky style, but he has enough damage, and you just can't really get to him.
Well, Fnatic have got a 5,000 gold lead. Nuclear is going to get locked into the ultimatum. The barrel sends Soaz out, but as Odoame is pinned against the wall, he takes so much damage. Che loses his life as Soaz is going to use that hook shot forward. Jez is unable to connect to the death sentence. And Caps, once again with the fancy footwork, uses the ult to safety.
Yes, saves himself in a 1 versus 2 by the looks of things now. Feberman's coming down to the bot side, but the rest of the team has already been routed back. Fnatic will swing to the mid lane, pick up that low health tower, and start it all over again.
Coming into this series today, Fnatic and H2K had an all-time win-loss of 13 apiece. They were 13-13 at the start of the day. Fnatic are on the verge of adding 2 more wins to that tally and being on the verge of a sweep, a clean sweep in what was one of their most disappointing regular seasons in recent years. It's mind-boggling to me, Deficio.
I think you have to look at the spring split, but also you have to look at 2016 for Fnatic.
Yeah.
Like, that was also a disappointing year for them, which is the crazy thing to say about Fnatic as a name, as a brand. You know, the 5th place, 6th place is what they ended up with. They got the battle for 3rd place that they actually managed to win in spring, but then they didn't make semifinals in the summer split.
Just watch the damage. It may not come through onto Odoamne at first, but Che sure as hell feels it, and we're going right back out. We don't need to see that. Caps is on the run.
All right, it's got a few seconds to maybe get the round wolf up, but it simply won't be enough time. The rest of Fnatic, they're grouping up 1, 2, 3 members on the bottom lane. Can they get a tower? Reckless is going to take a couple of autos here before he tumbles to safety. H2K making their way in. Teleport is coming down. Odoamne has caught Broxah, but Broxah's able to flash to safety. Now all of a sudden, Feberman's the target. The baby cage over the wall. Soaz keeps Feberman in place long enough to trade 1 for 1. There's no mid laners for either team, but Fnatic are happy to keep pushing.
Oh, it's such a well-played game again by Fnatic. They're always able to kind of out-duel H2K. I like the play though from H2K here, you know, get the kill top, TP bot lane, just try and get a 4v5. Sadly for them, after that Gragas nerf happened quite a while ago, you can't just body slam, knock someone back. And Feberman found himself all alone.
Feberman unable to do anything with that flank. Fnatic are on the verge of a 10,000 gold lead. On the verge of just a fantastic, fantastic ending to game 2. But they need to get those inhibitors down for supers.
And a week ago, Fnatic were on the verge of not being in the playoffs. And this is an H2K that, you know, everybody was seeing them top the group for the most part. Unicorns upset them towards the end with some fantastic performances, but everybody has expected H2K to be on top form. And Fnatic look like they're about to take game 2 in this best of 5 and be 1 game away from knocking H2K to a disappointing performance in playoffs again.
Yeah, however, 1 step earlier, right? H2K are famous for choking in semifinals. That is their thing, right? They are the almost forever 4th team. They've had a couple of 3rd places in there from time to time. Semifinals at Worlds, semifinals at LCS 3 times, semifinals at IEM.
They've never made the final.
There we go. Thank you for making it sound much simpler, Deficio. It's Fnatic, a team that has made the final, with some of these very members looking to knock H2K down a peg. The redemptions come out as Jankos flashes safely. Here comes Reckless. He flashes in aggressively. Feberman's the target, but Soaz gets the kill. A condemn onto Odoamne. Drops him as well. Fnatic in a 5-on-3. They're setting their sights on the base.
And there's nothing H2K can do when they're this far behind. And Fnatic once again win another fight. That's another inhib. Because I'm counting one from last game. It's an inhib going down.
It is an inhib going down, and Fnatic can take another if they go middle lane, waiting for the minions to make their way in. 28 seconds left for Odo and Febby to respawn. And Fnatic play this one by the numbers, 2 inhibs and out safely.
And this has been a Fnatic about much more than just Reckless, but oh boy have they given him the tools to carry in another game.
Oh, Shay's gonna get locked down by the ultimatum. I'm looking at Reckless's HP. Despite the attempts from Nuclear, he simply can't kill Reckless. All 3 inhibitors are down. And Fnatic, the underdogs by a gigantic margin, are looking set up to go 2-0.
Just like in the last game, we can take that step back and look at the last part of the pick and ban phase, where Vayne gets locked in. It was Twitch in the first game. In this fight here, it's not really about Vayne at first, but soon will be. Source getting, you know, quote-unquote caught. Not really. He has GA, he's just buying time. The rest of the team showing up, Reckless coming after as well.
Yeah, and what Soaz did there was use the ultimate, keep H2K further up the lane for a while, then lets them escape right into the waiting arms of the rest of Fnatic as they come in, utilizing Cap's ultimate. Soaz playing perhaps with that Guardian Angel going down, but it doesn't really matter. He was so close, but Fnatic, the rest of them are so healthy.
And the point I wanted to make there before with that last rotation is, by Fnatic last picking AD carry, they could once again surprise H2K. Had H2K seen that Vayne earlier, they would not have locked in Tahm Kench. They would have picked a range support and tried to bully the lane.
Yeah.
But because they saved last pick for Reckless, and he has so many surprise picks, H2K are just not ready for them in the pick and ban phase.
A lot of surprise picks for Reckless. He's been the primary carry for Fnatic, statistically outstanding, a leader on the team, and hell, everybody's talked about Reckless over the last few weeks. His social media discussions, his presence on stage with and without the team. But you cannot deny his impact on Twitch previously, and now Vayne 6-0-4
Look at this.
as Fnatic take Baron.
3 points of pressure. Soaz top lane, 3 men on the Baron, and bot lane pushing down because of the inhibitor being down. 3 points of pressure. H2K can't compete with any of them by the looks of it. And Fnatic get the Baron. Surely that's it. It's clinical from here for Fnatic. They're just going to walk the Baron minions in.
I mean, they got all the inhibs down.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Nexus number 2. I can barely believe my eyes. Death sentence goes awry as Che is the target. Get rickety reckless as Fnatic find more kills. It's 12-6. The Nexus is down. 1 more win secures a spot to the semifinals.
And we had that big moment, like 25, 26 minutes in, where H2K were actually finding a way back in the game. Fnatic did not split push on the side. They did not, get Baron vision. It was actually H2K with the vision around that objective. But then they walk into that red buff. They lose that fight, they lose Baron, and suddenly the game is just in favor of Fnatic again.
It absolutely is in favor of Fnatic. And Deficio, we talked a lot about Reckless in both of the previous games. We did that deep dive on his impact on the team. But Soaz has looked great. Yeah. Roxas had a fantastic early game twice. Gentlemen, I have to show you something. I actually have a replay that I've requested, which I'd like to queue up right now. It is, of course, of Baby Faker.
Wait, you said it now?
With his mechanical outplay. Just look how cheeky this is to get out of what is a 1v4.
Oh, steps past Dodo, Omni flashes out of the barrel.
That is beautiful.
That was sick.
So good.
All I'm saying is,
so good.
Right there, slap Faker's name on, put it on Reddit, and everyone's like, oh, that's a great play. That is a sick play. Look at those dodges.
Now, Caps needs to do more of those things in a killing manner, not a saving his life.
I mean, he's doing it in playoffs right now. It's pretty good, though.
Yeah, he has been making a couple of plays like that. Looking up against the previous Fnatic mid laner, Caps is making it look all too easy.
Exactly. Caps against Fev and Caps showing up. H2K are up against the wall in this series. Let's send it over to the analyst desk for a closer look at the rest of Game 2.
Up against the wall. We'll see if they are condemned, yes or no. We have some more Caps big plays later, but I also want to talk about the picks and bans. And obviously, the Vayne. We had a bit of a discussion here. Mitch, you were quite the fan of Vayne, specifically against this composition, not specifically for the champion.
It was just a really fun pick and ban to follow, because we were thinking like, oh, Reckless, is he going to pick the Twitch on third pick Purple Step? It's like, no, he can't. But then he's going to get banned out. So then he lost the Twitch, he lost the Kalista. We saw Tahm Kench come out against Thresh, and we know that this is just... Tahm Kench, just removes your experience of having fun as a Thresh player. Because you hook one guy, you can't kill him if it's Tahm Kench. You hook the other guy, he gets devoured. Well, it's over. And they have Ezreal. So you're like, how do you answer lane that is so good at playing passive? Well, you find magically this one champion that everybody forgot about that actually outscales, has % damage versus the Tahm Kench, can punish it with Condemn, and synergizes so well. And that was the Vayne, and I was super happy to see it come out. And he's really abusing this Blade of the Ruined King into either a Phantom Dancer build, and then he even adds Frozen Mallet to it. Have we seen this? No.
Every time. He goes always Blade of the Rune King, Hurricane or Phantom Dancer, and then the Frozen Mallet. And she gets really, really tanky and hard to kill.
Also, it's really nice to see how Fnatic is treating the Blanc pick. Because last game, H2K got stomped by LeBlanc pretty much. And yeah, Fnatic just has a really good answer to the LeBlanc pick, right? They just pick Wise Elise, first rotation. Don't give H2K the opportunity to pick the Elise. And this just enables so much gank pressure on the LeBlanc that she can't really play this aggressive and not go to the full potential that the champion has.
Because are you afraid to dash into the wave every single time when you play LeBlanc into this combo?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you can one cleanse, can go Mercury threats early, but this is like delaying the champion a bit, like the strongness of the champion. And yeah, this is just nice to see how Fnatic handles this.
Yeah, smart pick and ban by Fnatic, but not as big of a lead in the early game. However, a lot happened, so we're going to run through a couple of replays, starting up early with the first blood bottom, or the gank bottom, rather.
This was really well played by H2K, though. I love it. So Broxy comes in, he knows, don't target Nuclear because he will get devoured, so they go for Che. Then Nuclear knows, I can't get Che get comboed, so he takes the hook for his AD, for his support. Then Che devours Nuclear, who took the hook for him. They heal and flash out. So this is super well played. I love this little tidbit. But then Jankos is cross-mapping with no vision, and Sheepy as a coach, he must be a little bit disappointed here.
Look at Caps
From the play before also, they had vision on the Elise coming behind, so Fnatic, they're slipping up a bit. And here, Jankos is just invading topside jungle when your mid laner's pushed in, and that's always risky. But also really nice by Caps there with the flash auto take over, destroying the blast cone. I mean, that's really good on-the-spot thinking from him.
And Exile, you were mentioning how you feel like Caps is mechanically probably the best mid laner in the league.
Yeah, I think so. Right now, that like when you compare all the mid laners, then Caps at the start of the split, at least, was like a mid laner that's heavily mechanically on an insane level, and it's like always outplaying his opponent. Maybe even got like a bad draft matchup on stage up and on, because maybe like outplayed the enemy in scrims. But right now, like if you look at his plays, like he knows exactly what to do, and this is just nice to see. When he punishes Jankos, maybe it was the team call as well, but yeah, he's playing the lane really well.
He's also really confident kind of with the Rise ultimates. Like he's constantly repositioning, even flashing to dodge skill shots to then end up in the ultimate. It seems like he's really found his element.
Oh, he has, and he has the rest of the team now also performing around him. But it wasn't all bad for H2K. They put some pressure on the map back as well. We're going to take a look at the next replay, because they didn't want to let it get so out of hand as it did in game one, basically.
Yeah, this is it's basically like Jez is covering Caps with the Lantern. And I love the setup because you really want to target this mid lane matchup because the side lanes are not working. Fevin eventually goes in with the chain. Ezreal ulti is going to come out. Jankos joins late enough that Caps is stuck with no flash, and they really abuse the summer disadvantage.
Yeah, they really should have done this way earlier. I mean, this is really the idea behind it. The enemy picked Rise Elise, so they have heavy magic damage, and yes, they tried to delay the LeBlanc a bit, but the Rise has no Mercury threats, and just Kha'Zix plus LeBlanc has so much kill pressure.
Also, can we appreciate Odoamne here? That was a really, really sexy outplay, and at that moment you felt like the tide is turning.
The tide is turning, but you're looking at that bottom lane, and you see the Vayne farming up. She's well, about to complete the Bilgewater Cutlass. She is not getting any kills yet, but that threat is building, and then it happens.
Yeah, double side lane kills here. We see the Rise in the mid lane. Exile. Should he be playing in a side lane, or do you think it's the best thing for Vayne to be in a side lane here?
I think right now the wave clear of Vayne is a bit limited also with Thresh. Like if they put LeBlanc 1v2 in the mid lane, like in this case H2K, then she can probably even push first against two people. And this should never be the case, right? Like you want to at least trade equally. And yeah, this is like why they need to put Wise in the mid lane right now. And they can also enable these plays on the side, like on the top laner, as we saw right now. With Vayne and Thresh, which is like really in the end in favor for Fnatic.
Yeah, Fnatic did a fantastic job pairing Soaz with Reckless. You're only expecting one of the two. Like you press tab and like, yeah, okay, Vayne's gonna be tough, but I can deal with it. Or press tab is like, Camille can all in me because I can knock him back. But when they both come at you, it's really hard to deal with that. I think that's one of Fnatic's strengths. In the last few weeks, they've always been ganking their own side lanes. But there has to be an answer to that play. When people are committing like two members on the side lane, what would the answer be?
I'm not so sure, because H2K doesn't set them up really for success here, and I really think that by the pick and ban phase, that the picks itself just worked out so much more in the favor of H2K and for Fnatic, and H2K just didn't have an answer. Even in this fight, like I think they didn't play like perfectly. The last one we saw where Vayne, walks away or goes out, which he actually can go in more, like a very specific point. But I'm just saying that although they don't play it absolutely perfectly, their team comp is just so strong and like attacking those team fights and letting the Vayne roll and pushing out the DPS. And they have actually no threat on her because the Ryze counters her so well. So really good job there from H2K. From Fnatic building around the Vayne.
And that's what we got to talk about, right? They're in the zone, they're on the same page, playoff buff, whatever it is. But we just have to acknowledge the fact that we highlighted Reckless here before, and it is him, absolutely. He's picking that Twitch, he's picking that Vayne, he's making it happen. But the entire team, I mean, it's almost incredible.
He's running out of Blade of the Ruined King's AD carries, so I wonder if H2K is just going to panic and ban out them all.
Sure.
But then he can still, I guess he can still play Ezreal.
Do you think they will open up the cannon?
That would actually be hilarious. The problem is, because Fnatic was so fixed on like these few champions where they found success, all your prep bases itself on these champions being eliminated. I think the first champion to slip would probably be the Lee Sin. Like Lee Sin Elise in terms of early aggression gang pass, Brox has leaving his mark on Elise. That one could be left open, and maybe you slot in a Vayne there, and then you late ban out Twitch and you late ban out Kalista again.
Yeah, sorry to break you off, but we got to move on. But I just want to know, I mean, what's going to happen is going to be a reverse sweep. Do you see H2K getting back? Because obviously this was against all of our predictions and all of our opinions before the game. Do we see Fnatic closing it out here?
I think that Fnatic has definitely, like, after those 2 games, I'm really impressed how they like stepped up the first expectations, how they will place. And yeah, I think that they can close this out. Like, they just go another AD carry with Blade of the Ruined King, Frozen Mallet, like whatever AD carry it is.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Absolutely insane. Well, after another statement win, Fnatic are just 1 win away from clinching the last ticket to Hamburg. Is this H2K's final hour? We'll find out in 3.5.
Vayne is locked in. Twitch, for the first time this split. Vayne now locked in for Reckless as well. Is this Vayne spotting or is this Fnatic spotting? Can they do it again? Overload into Rune Prison. Connects with another overload. So as his body blocked. The passcode!
Oh my God!
First blood to Caps. So as is already out of the fight. Rune Prison onto Featherfin. That's a double kill for Reckless. He continues to chase. Huge heal from the summoner spell. And Caps gets the third. Here comes Reckless. He flashes in aggressively. Featherfin's the target, but Soaz gets the kill. A condemn onto Odoamne. Drops him as well. Fnatic in a 5-on-3. They're setting their sights on the base. Get rickety Reckless as Fnatic 5 more kills. It's 12-6. The Nexus is down. 1 more win secures a spot in the semi-finals.